cover everything from photography, videos. We are focused on...
I'm delighted to be joined by Fatos from Maximize.
I'm the founder of Maximize. We're an Amazon creative agency. We're based in London. They are engineered, not just... That is what we do. We focus purely on that.
What kind of images is enticing customers to click on the listing in the first place?
We audit their images, their content, everything to see...
How important is A+ content or premium A+ content?
Definitely, we have seen big jumps in once we've optimized A+ content.
Welcome back to the Seller's Journey podcast. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by Fatos from Maximize. Welcome along, Fatos.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, really great to have you along. Obviously, you're a big part of the e-commerce world. I'm really interested to get into this conversation. Today, what I'd love to discuss with you is a little bit about what you do to begin with, and then we'll move on to how your services are going to change with Q4 on the horizon. Really exciting time in e-commerce. It's like one of those, it's really exciting, but also you're going into this really busy period. I'd be really interested to kind of get your views on everything that you're going to be doing from now to Q4 to make sure that you're ready. But first of all, can you just give us a little bit of an overview of Maximize and the work that you've been doing?
I'm the founder of Maximize. We're an Amazon creative agency. We're based in London, but we're global. Most of our clients are actually based in the US, so we're very international. We cover everything from photography, videos, listing images, A+ content, storefronts, everything to do with the front end of your Amazon listings we cover, and we are focused on conversion optimizing, maximizing clicks, conversion rate. So the way I describe it is we're not just pretty pictures, actually have a function. They are engineered, not just created. That is what we do. We focus purely on that. We don't get involved with PPC, account management, any of that. We're just very focused and just on delivering very high quality content that has been meticulously planned.
I really love that. It's something that is slowly becoming more of a priority for brands, isn't it? And I remember when I first started my journey with working on Amazon, I found that it really wasn't a priority to anybody, and I never really understood why. I've been kind of banging the drum for really great images, and not only really great images, but researched images. What kind of images is enticing customers to click on the listing in the first place? And then what other brands are using that are helping to convert, like you said, conversion optimization is so important, and the majority of that is done with the images. So really excited to kind of get into it. So I guess first of all, let's kind of start from the very basics. When a brand comes to you and says, we want you to refresh all of our Amazon images, what's the kind of first thing that you do?
So we do a deep dive. We audit their images, their content, everything to see where the gaps are, what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, what needs to be improved. We have a holistic, we look at what's happening within that niche. So we're not just looking in isolation at what's happening with that specific client. So we get an understanding of the niche they're in, the products they're selling, what's working, what's not working, and then we'll come up with a plan for them. Like just yesterday, we completed an audit for a client, which was 70 pages long, and that was just for a pet food. We really get to understand what the product is, who's buying it, why are they buying it, what are their pain points, and then from there we start to build out the content. It is all of their content, so it's listing images, it's A+ content, it's their storefront. Branding is a really important element. What are they doing on their D2C site? How does that look? Where's the branding? Especially these days with AI search, and again there was a really interesting article just a couple of days about this. Consistency is key. So how are you showing up wherever those touch points are? So when people land on your listing on Amazon, will they recognize it as being the same brand as what they're going to see on your D2C site? So all of that kind of feeds into the equation.
So important. And I think, like you said there, branding and making sure that people recognize the brands through the images is massively important. One thing that I'm quite interested in, brands as a general rule are very, very protective over their brand image and their branding. Have you ever come across a situation where you're suggesting a certain type of image for optimization reasons that the brand don't necessarily agree with or like, and then how do you kind of get around that?
That's an interesting question. One of our clients that we work with is a huge global brand, personal care products, very highly regulated, and they have a very specific vision. There are approved claims. Every single word of copy that we put on the images has to be approved, has to align with what they've already approved with from a regulatory perspective. We have to work within those restrictions. A sort of tricky one was where we would have liked to have more of a lifestyle just to show the product in use. And this was a huge revamp of a very, very big brand. And they said no, because we've decided everything is just going to be products. We don't want any people showing on our storefront page. We just want the product. If that's what the client wants, that's what we have to do and work within those limitations.
Yeah, and I suppose it's really difficult, isn't it? Especially with the big brands, because I guess there are so many different people that would need to sign off a change to that. But do you ever, or would you ever kind of give examples of, look, by not using this kind of image, you could be missing out on some conversion, some sales? Because again, let's face it, the bigger the brand, the bigger the revenue change is going to be. Like 1% for a huge brand is a lot of money. Is that a conversation you ever have?
We do. We have a responsibility to give them, any client, our input as to what we believe will yield the best return. So we have a responsibility to do that, but then the client ultimately makes the choice.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's like branding versus what's actually going to convert is, I've always found that quite tricky. I've always found that quite tricky in my Amazon career. How important is A+ content or premium A+ content?
Very important. We use A+ content all the time. It is a big thing. Premium A+ content, it has so many features that give you so much more possibility of different ways of showcasing, communicating the message and making sure that you're communicating everything. You're not limited by space if you were just using listing images. Definitely, we have seen big jumps in sales and conversions once we've optimized A+ content. Even, changing from basic to premium A+ content and obviously enhancing it in that process. It's keeping the customer engaged, keeping them on the page for as long as possible is one of our goals, because the longer they're there, the more likely they are to buy. And with A+ content, we've got lots of different ways that we can kind of keep them engaged, grab their attention. We can embed videos in it. We love using carousels because they essentially, each slide on the carousel is another image. For example, if you have a product that has, let's say, user instructions that are quite detailed, having those carousels, you can go step 1, step 2, step 3 and very clearly explain. Or if there's size variations or color variations, having all that extra space to talk about the product without overcrowding your creatives is really, really useful. And again, hotspots, something you hover over it, some text pops up, it grabs the shopper's attention. There are lots and lots of features, so we love using A+ content.
It's just a great way, isn't it, of getting across your message in images, because I read somewhere a few years back now, because of the digital age that we're in, humans are less likely to read blocks of text. It's important to get your message across within the images, and obviously A+ offers a great opportunity to do that. Something that I've always found super, super important. Just interesting to get your kind of take on it, really. The other thing I'm interested in, just before we start talking about the mad rush of Q4, if you were doing a full images audit on a listing or for a brand, is there a particular order that you would kind of start? Because what I'm thinking here is obviously you've got the main image is important for kind of click-through rate, I guess, because that's the first thing people are going to see. So that's like super, super important. But then obviously once you're in the listing, the main image becomes less important because people want to see infographics and A+ content. So I guess this is kind of my question is, do you have like a basic format of it, a standard way of kind of looking at things? Or is it more that you look at the listing and say, well, actually click-through rate's really good, so let's start with conversion? Or is it just you have a standard kind of format?
As you said, click-through is great. People click on the image, they come into the listing. But if the rest of the listing isn't optimized, going to convert, that's not going to help your profitability. It's not going to help your ranking. It's not going to help anything. So the first thing that I kind of like dive into is the secondary listing images. So once you've come into the listing, the first, second, third images are really, really important, because if the customer isn't engaged, they are going to bounce off. If image one, image two hasn't grabbed them, they are not going to bother looking at the rest of the images. They're not going to go anywhere near your A+ content because they'll have left long before. Your main image stack is super, super important. Getting conversions up is really top priority, because your conversions go up, your ranking goes up. So yes, main image, really important to capture the clicks, but you need to be able to back that up with the rest of your image stack. And we do test image order as well. So A/B testing main images, absolutely need to do that. But it's also important and very informative to test the order in which you show your image stack. So you can arrange them in lots of different ways and just test it and see which people respond better to. The first image absolutely has to be, we have a formula, a storytelling formula that we work to. Of course, it changes from one product to the other, but within the first image, we need to tell people what pain point is this product solving. That's number one. They want to know, how is this product going to make my life better?
What you're saying there about, it's really important, the main image is really important to get click-through, but what's the point in getting click-through that's not going to convert? So you kind of almost kind of build out the kind of conversion images, if you like, so that you increase the conversion of what you've already got going to the page, and then you've got something that when you do increase click-through rate, it's going to convert at the same time. Really interesting. And I think, again, do you find that this kind of stuff is overlooked by brands?
Very, very often. I'm amazed that still there's so much awareness about how important your images are, and still how many listings are really, really poor. People just don't realize. I mean, many years back, my career started, I had a retail business. We had physical stores, and it doesn't matter that we're in the digital age and there's AI and all of this tech. Ultimately, the principle is the same. The way I describe it is, your main image is your storefront, your outside of your shop. You need to make it look really nice and attractive to get people to come into your shop. But once they're in your shop, what does your display look like? Is your shop nicely fitted out? Is it attractive? Have you got sales assistants who know the product? They're well informed and they can tell you about the product. If you go into a shop and you want to buy shoes, somebody's going to recommend a style, a size. They're going to help you find the right product. Your Amazon listing is a shop, but there's no person there to help you. Your listing images, your video, your A+ content has got to do the job of that person. The principles are exactly the same.
Throughout my years of account management, specifically in the agency world, it was always, I don't know, my eyes always lit up when I took on a new client and saw that their images and A+ content were terrible. Because for me, well, that's a really quick win. Like, I know now I can make improvements to this and we can see almost an instant revenue increase. I guess on the flip side to that, the frustration is some brands just weren't willing to do it. They didn't want to invest in the design. They didn't want to invest in new images. They didn't see it as a huge priority. And it was really difficult for account managers to get that point across. We provided research and information on what it would look like from a revenue perspective if we changed. I guess from a brand's perspective, somebody who's not necessarily heavily involved in Amazon or the kind of digital world, I guess it is quite difficult for them to believe an upgrade in images can have that much of an impact. How do you kind of get that across to brands that you're working with?
As you said as well, just kind of doing a case study is helpful, but ultimately people believe things when they see things. So we just suggest one listing. We'll analyze it and figure out which product we think we can make a big difference, and we'll say, look, let's just test one product, see the results, and then you can decide for yourself. And always they're sold on the idea. And it's used the word invest, and that's exactly right. What I say to clients is, you're not spending money, you're investing in your business.
Yeah, couldn't agree with that more. And it's always been a bugbear of mine, similar to PPC really. People call it ad spend, like it's a cost, forgetting that you're actually measuring the impact of those advertisements. But imagery and all of this kind of stuff that we're discussing is so important, and I always recommend that that's a step one before even advertising, because what's the point in paying for people to hit a listing that might not convert as well as it could? All really interesting stuff. Let's get on to the topic at hand. So Q4 just around the corner, mega increases in traffic expected as always. I think the general stat is that you expect to see 4 times as much traffic on Amazon over the Black Friday period than you normally would. Obviously represents a humongous opportunity. We know that ad costs or ad investment costs are going to increase because of the amount of traffic and the amount of people bidding on different search terms, etc. What can you do from an image perspective to make sure that you're going to capture as much traffic as possible during this period? Is there anything that you do differently during this period?
Yes, I mean, the general rules of optimize for conversions apply even more. Making sure that you're going to convert as much as possible, the quality of your content is really, really good. That is number one. Make sure that you're indexing for keywords that are really important, and start trying to build up ranking for those keywords that are going to be important, say for gifting, for example, golfing gift for fathers or Christmas gift for grandma. Just whatever your product is, make sure that you are indexing and you are like trying to improve your ranking on those in terms of sort of keywords back end. But in terms of the front end, make sure that you're incorporating whatever's relevant into your listings. So if it's, most products have a giftable element to them. There are some products that are just not giftable, but most products will be giftable in some form. And so try and highlight that with images and with text, and make sure that you are updating your storefront as well. Make sure that you're putting a bit of holiday kind of look, Christmassy look in there. Change your banner, change your main page, add a page for Christmas gifts, holiday gifts. There is so much you can do, and there's the very kind of typical one with the main image putting a red bow on it. Try and be creative. If everybody on the page has got a red bow, don't put a red bow. How else can I do this? But just making it really, bringing it front and center to people. This is an item that you can buy as a gift. So just kind of bringing in that messaging visually as well as in the back end of your listings is really, really important. But just overall, as you said, ad spend is going to be huge, costs are going to go up, and if you're not converting, you can potentially end up losing a lot of money. It's more important than ever during those periods to make sure that your listings are optimized. And these days, relevancy is really, really important. Don't try and sell your product for something that it isn't doing. When I first started selling on Amazon, you would just stuff the back end with all sorts of keywords, just you might catch somebody. If it's not really describing your product, don't try and catch that traffic, because they're not going to buy your product. So you have to be very, very laser focused. Who is my customer? What am I trying to sell to them, and why would they want to buy it? And just making sure that you're really honing in on that and being really focused is the best way to try and maximize conversions.
100%. That's really great advice. Thank you for that. I totally agree. I think in an ideal world, and it's so difficult for brands to understand how difficult it is when you've got a constantly evolving social media platforms that need a lot of focus and attention. But I really feel like definitely opportunity that sits within Amazon for seasonal kind of imagery, because products that tend to be sort of a summery vibe, that where you might have a bunch of people sat on a beach, perhaps it might be a drink of some description, you got that kind of summer vibe. Is that really going to appeal to people when it's pouring with rain and it's freezing cold? I definitely feel like there's opportunity for kind of seasonal imagery. I really will like what you said about kind of making it giftable and making sure that you're kind of coming across as a giftable product in the region where people are going to be purchasing for other people as a general rule. So it's going to be really important that the images kind of give the perception that this is a giftable product. How much do you think that good imagery and relevant imagery for the kind of season, how much do you think that would impact your advertising strategy?
I think it's really important. You have to be very focused, like don't go chasing Christmas gifts or Thanksgiving gifts. You need to figure out, like really niche it down and what you need to target, and make sure that your advertising strategy and your content strategy are aligned. You definitely don't want to be shooting for one thing with one and another thing with another, because that's going to be really counterproductive.
Totally agree. And I feel like you kind of see an increase in advertising performance once you've done your work on the kind of images and the kind of visuals on the listing. How much of that takes a client by surprise or takes a brand by surprise? Because I don't feel like it's something that is always at the forefront of a brand's mind when they're thinking image updates.
Quite often they are very pleasantly surprised. They don't appreciate how significant it is for their bottom line. And like we said, just a small percentage change in conversion rate is going to make a really significant impact to profitability. It's just money that you could be having that you're not. That's what it boils down to.
So great. So for a brand that's perhaps going into their first Q4, what are the main things that they were to go and just kind of give their listing a bit of an audit? What do you think are the main things that they should look out for as we approach Q4?
Definitely make sure that you're optimizing for conversions. Like that's number one key thing to do. Because like we said, you know, with all the extra ad spend, the extra traffic, if you're not converting, that's going to damage you even more. Number one priority, make sure you're converting. Try and bring in elements that are going to communicate that your product can be given as a gift. So try and capture that market, because we're all very visual. I might be shopping for a pen, and if that brand have made the effort of highlighting could be a great Christmas gift, I'm going to react to that rather than just thinking, okay, I just need a pen. I might think, oh, I could get that as a present for somebody actually. So we really need to really capitalize on that.
Really great advice. Thank you for that. I don't think there's a product on the planet or a product on Amazon that couldn't benefit from having a really solid image strategy or visual strategy. And I think that there's an old saying, people buy from people, right? And obviously that's really difficult now because we're in a digital world where you don't get to kind of liaise with people. But I think the message is still true. Like, people want to buy from brands that they trust. And how do you get that trust across? Well, images really is the main route, isn't it? Because reading a title isn't really going to give you that trust. Obviously, a title needs to be professional looking. It can't be stuffed with keywords. But certainly from my perspective, when I'm shopping on Amazon, let's face it, there is a lot of low quality branded products available. To stand out amongst those and to really show the quality of the product is really important. And the way that I assess the quality of a brand or quality of a product is by looking at their images and looking at their A+ content. So part of me thinks maybe I'm a little bit biased having worked in the industry for such a long time, but I do think that people will go through the same process. They'll scroll down, and if they see that there's really strong A+ content, then they're going to engage with that and they're going to read it. If they see there's a block of text, they probably won't read it. They might just skip to reviews. Similarly with kind of main images, and one that I always love is the kind of exploded view of a product that kind of shows the different elements of the product. I always think that's really powerful. Something that really highlights the quality of a product, because that's what's kind of encouraging people to purchase it and to spend longer researching that particular product. So really touched on that, I just want to kind of touch on briefly before I let you go, is brand story. Something that I think's been overlooked for years and years and years, really becoming massively important, I think now. Kind of leading from what I've just mentioned about brand trust, is it gives you that story and it makes the brand almost the person, doesn't it? Because it gives the opportunity for brand to kind of talk about its heritage, etc. You know, how important have you found in your experience?
Exactly that. It's about building that trust and relatability. Like you said, people want to buy from people. So brand story is really, really important. We try and put in like an image of the founder or founders so that people can see this is the person behind the brand, and just a little bit about about their story. How did they come to build the brand? Why? What was it that prompted it? Absolutely. And it is part of that kind of brand identity, having the brand story linking to the listing images, to the A+ content. And brand story is also great because they can click through and go to your storefront and buy the product. And you want to drive people to your storefront because there's not a whole load of sponsored ads popping up, distracting them. So once you've got them in your storefront, the chances of getting a sale are really good. That we could be talking for hours and hours. It all kind of links together. Brand story, really important.
It's been great having this discussion. As I said at the very start, but I've always been a huge advocate of and really genuinely believe that makes a huge difference. Just to kind of summarize then, main image, very good for click-through rate, ensuring that people actually click through to your listings. But before you would work on that, you would start on the actual kind of swatch images to make sure that the traffic is going to kind of convert. A+ content, really important because people just don't read blocks of text anymore. That's going to explain the product in a lot more detail for people that want to kind of get more info than they have done from just clicking through and seeing the bullet points. Brand story, we just discussed how important to really emphasize the brand and make the brand almost a person to kind of gain that trust. And then brand story, everything kind of leads back to the brand store. And as you mentioned, once people are on that brand store, they're not being redirected anywhere else. You're able to showcase the product, showcase the benefits of the products, and all of this leads back to a higher conversion, higher sales, more revenue, lower advertising costs because people that are coming to the page are converting. Genuinely can't think of anything else that's kind of more important. Is there any other kind of anything that we haven't discussed or any kind of tips that you would give anybody that's watching?
Oh my goodness, it's what I do day in, day out. Tips, I mean, one word I never use is a hack. It's not about hacks. It's about building sustainable brands. If I were building a brand on Amazon now, how do I build this as a long-term brand that's going to be sustainable? It's not about just getting a product and putting it up there and just selling as many as you can, as quickly as you can. I think take a holistic view, look at your brand and make sure that across all touch points you have that identity and make sure that it all kind of comes together as a brand. Don't just think this is just my Amazon, this is my D2C. It's all one business, it's all one brand.
What amazing advice. Fatos, it's been amazing speaking to you today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on and give this amazing advice. How can people get hold of you if they want to kind of get in touch about your services?
LinkedIn, or reach out to me on maxamaze.co, maxamaze.co. There's a link there that you can click through and come through to me. If you share my email later when this goes out, again, email, very happy to chat to anyone.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, we'll put all your information in the description and everything so people will be able to get hold of you with the description information. Thanks again, it's been amazing and really looking forward to seeing what people can get from this over Q4 and looking forward to hearing the results of all the work that you've done as well. So thanks so much, Fatos, really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.